Hey YouTube, long time no talk. So today we're going to talk about the new time rule that got implemented this week. If you guys know what the new time rule is, it's once time is called, the player is playing, once they end their phase, the whole game ends, and they check life points, and whoever has higher life points wins the game. Previously, depending on the tier tournament you're in, like if you're at locals or you're at regionals or at YCS, there's additional turns to when time is end. So it's typically a 3 or 5. I think regionals is 5. So that means that let's say it's my turn. I'll be turn 0, and maybe my opponent will be turn 1, and be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'll get last turn, and then after that, life points are checked, and whoever has higher life points wins. Now it just ends on the player's turn, end of the phase. So if you're in main phase and the time's called, it just ends after you end the main phase. So you don't get to go to battle phase, even though you make this huge board. And you can't go to battle phase to attack. So these rules were implemented on June 1st, and the first wave of tournaments where this rule was legal and used in official Konami events was this past weekend. And reading the rules, reading this new time rule, is different from actually experiencing it. So this past weekend, this Saturday, we had San Diego Regionals in California, and I got to experience it myself. My first hand experience. So I'll be telling you guys how I felt about this event, and the overall time thing, and the good and the bad. First, reading the rules, experience is different. When you read it, you get these raw feelings. When you actually experience it, you can actually see, oh, okay, maybe there's a reason behind the madness. Because when I first read it, I wasn't really shocked, or I didn't really hate it, because I guess I read it wrong. When I first read it, I was like, oh, this is really good. Like, rounds will be going around a lot faster now. So if you guys don't know, the main reason why Konami implemented this rule is because the tournaments were getting way too long. Like anything like 8 or 9 rounds would last longer than the 9 times 40 minutes. And that's because of the time rule. Like 5 turns can last longer than 40 minutes. Especially later in the game where you're kind of grinding it out and trying to break boards and think about turns. Those 5 turns can last longer than the whole 40 minutes. That means that one round can last like an hour and 30 minutes, and that's ridiculous. And that's not including the time that it takes Konami to punch in the records and pull out the next pairings and any issues and stuff like that. If you were to give like 40-minute rounds and say 30 minutes of time extension, that's an hour and 10 minutes, and then additional 10 minutes for Konami to print out the punch all their stuff in and print out the pairings. That's an hour and 20 minutes. And then that's not including the time that players have to go look for the name and sit down. I think it's another 10 to 15 minutes. I don't know how much Konami gives time. Sometimes they're really fast. They're like 5 minutes and you're not even in your chair yet and they're starting already. So let's say 10 minutes. So a round already is an hour and 30 minutes. So, that's kind of ridiculous. A round is actually twice as long as the allotted time of a round. So, yeah, that's why they implement it. So when I first read it, I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool that they're finally trying to do something with the time. But I read it wrong. When I first read it, I thought it was end of the turn, the player's turn, and I thought it was really fair. Like if you're in main phase and then they call time, you get your battle phase, end phase, and that's it. That's fair. But then I read it again, and it said end of the phase. So I was like, whoa, that's kind of dumb, because there's so many things that a player could do to break the time. You can be in main phase 2, and then quickly go in the end phase, and your opponent's in draw phase, and then time's called, and then they don't even get a main phase because they're still in draw phase. And there's a lot of things that players can cheat around the time system. Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is an interactive game where you have to ask for a response and stuff like that. If you guys don't both agree on like entering a certain phase, then you can't go to that phase. A player can be rushing and making the board and then try to go to the battle phase. But if the opponent says, no, I have a response, or eliminate their card, or whatever, time can be called in main phase 1. And the opponent, after like working so hard to make that board, can't even go in battle phase to OTK you. So there's a lot of things that players can do to cheat the time system. That's what my first impressions were when I didn't agree with the phase in the time when I read the new rule. So enough of that. We'll talk about how the tournament went and how it happened in actuality. Surprisingly, San Diego Regionals started early. We started around 10:30 or 10:40ish. Usually, Southern California Regional doesn't start till like 11 or 12. So that was like already a good thing that we started early. So the first round, I didn't get to really experience the time rule because I bricked. I was playing Sky Striker and I opened like unplayable both games. So I didn't get a feel that that new time rule, I finished my round in like 10 minutes. So I can't tell you how I felt. Unplayable. That hand was so bad. It was like game one was like I drew jamming waves, afterburner, multi-roll, effect failure, and what was the last card? Impermanence. So like all 5 cards unplayable. And I drew into like, I don't know, really bad cards. And then game 2 I drew like really bad, and then I was playing spirals and he droned me. He saw the next 3 cards like, I'm so sorry dude, you're gonna draw brick. I was like, oh my god. I drew like Hercules base, multi-roll, and afterburner or something like that. It was like 3 unplayable cards. It was insane. But anyway, so yeah, I didn't really experience that round. So I went to go sit down table 500 and like wait for my friends to finish. And yeah, surprisingly, the round ended quickly. Like, and I don't know about you guys in your regionals, but our regionals, we have a clock, and once it hits 0, it goes up in time. So it'll be 40, and then it'll go down to 0, and then it'll go up in time. So it'll be like 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, right? So you can see how much time has been going through while after the round was over. So I think within like 8 minutes, the next pairings were up already, and I was like really impressed. I'm like, huh, that's really crazy. Like, it was less than an hour. The round was less than an hour. I was doing the math. I'm like, hey, the tournament was only be 9 rounds, and we're like, oh, we might get out before 8 o'clock. And you guys don't know we had LA regionals the week before, and poor Bowie was playing there trying to get his invite, and it was round 8, and it was really like 10 o'clock or like 9 o'clock. It's insane. So, and LA regional was 10 rounds. So everyone didn't get out until like 12 a.m. I was like, that's crazy. Like, that's bad for the players, bad for the venue host, bad for the people that are working there that just want to go home. So in conclusion, the time rule makes the rounds go a lot faster. You get to go home early. Good thing. All right. So we were expected to get out around 7, 8 o'clock, the latest. You know, assuming that every round was at that fast, that pace. So the second round came around. I didn't go into time again. I played against a Dino player. I 2-0'd him. So I personally don't know how it feels yet. But this round was a little different from round 1. Round 1 we ended at around 50 minutes, so 40 plus 10. This round was like 40 plus 30 or something like that. And the reasoning for this was because some of the players were disputing on which phase they were in. So the disputation or like they were arguing like, hey, I was in battle phase, or you didn't let me go to battle phase, like you were stalling or whatever, like you took 2 minutes to look at your end phase, to declare your end phase, you know, you weren't thinking. And then this caused dispute, and when this happens, you have to bring the players to the back, or we didn't have a back room, but they bring the players to the side, and the judges have to talk to them and like look in the face and kind of see what's going on and who's telling the truth or not, you know. And this causes everyone else to wait. At this point, it's kind of like, hey, this is 30 minutes of time extension, or not. There's 30 minutes of time added on top of your round. At this point, it's kind of similar to you having a 5-turn end of match procedure. So to me, I was thinking like, even with this new end of match procedures, we're still going 30 minutes after the round. So like, there really is like no point of this. I was kind of defending Konami, being, hey, maybe this is just a one-time thing. Maybe this is just an outlier, you know. Maybe this is just this one guy that's being an asshole to and ruining it for everyone. So I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. Hey, let's try for one more round, see what happens, you know. Round 3, something happened. Someone else disputed, and it added another 20, 30 minutes to the round. I mean, it's better than regular Konami tournament where it's like 40, 50 minutes to the round, but you're still adding more time to the rounds, which like the whole purpose of this new rule change is to not have any. At this point, I was kind of like, oh man, this kind of sucks. Like, Konami's rule change didn't really affect that much. So round 4 was where I felt it personally, and I do not agree with the rule change at all. I hope they change it somehow, or before Nationals they change it. My round 4 was more of a grind match, and we're in game 3, and the whole time in game 3 we're looking at the clock, making sure that we still have time in the turn. Because I was I'm a fair player. I want both me and my opponent to have, you know, fair turns. So I would play my turn as fast as I can, so he can enter his turn and get to play, you know, the actual game of Yu-Gi-Oh, you know. And he was doing the same thing, and I really appreciate that he was doing that. And so we were kind of like playing as fast as we can, and throwing it back and forth, you know. I felt like when I was doing that, my plays were not optimal. I wasn't doing. I couldn't sit there and think, hey, I need to break this board. How do I break this board? Or how to make the best board I can? Or how do I make it so my next turn I can like be more in an advantageous mode for the next turn? Because to me, when I'm playing, I don't know what I'm getting next turn because I don't know what my opponent's gonna draw. He might draw a Soul Charge, or he might draw like the Monster Reborn that gets, or Goku Rematch that gets him back into the game, and might be a 5-minute turn. So in my head, I don't even know what I'm getting in the next turn. So I need to play it this turn fast as I can. So I was not making the most optimal board, and same thing with him. He wasn't making the most optimal play either. It was really unfortunate because when the game ended, luckily I won, but I felt like the game was ruined. Like, we didn't get to play a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It just, the whole, I don't know, I just felt dirty winning that game. It was so bad. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I know, like, time's at the end, like, it doesn't matter because you have 5 turns. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of things to do with 5 turns. Or if you're playing locals, 3 turns. And to me, like, you don't have to rush your last turn to try to get a battle phase in. You can just play at a reasonable pace. Because you're going to have 3 more turns. You're going to have at least 2 more battle phases. Where this new rule change, you don't even know you're going to get another battle phase. And you don't even know you're going to get another main phase, to be honest. And you don't know if your opponent's going to be an asshole and, like, rig you out of the game. So luckily, I didn't play anyone like that. But I felt like the game was ruined, personally. Now, definitely, I can never play a combo eccentric deck because I have to think about my hand. I need to play like a helmet deck, or like where a deck that I don't need to think that much. Summon a card, search a card, pass, As much as I like to play Goki, I can never play Goki because that's so combo eccentric, and it takes like a 5-minute first turn, to make that big board. And that's not including player responsing, just you moving your hands, it's gonna take you 5 minutes to do that turn. So after I won that round, it felt really dirty. Round 5, same thing happened. We're at the 5-minute mark, just looking at the clock the whole time. Seeing if we have time. So it was at the 2-minute mark, and he attacked directly, right? And then I got scared, like, that I wasn't gonna get a turn, so I flipped over my drones to block the attack. In my head, I'm like, this is the wrong play. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be blocking this attack. I should save it for my turn and summon drones and then get Kigeki and then just, like, kill him that way. And the thing about Sky Striker deck is that it cannot OTK. It can only do, like, probably 2,000 damage a turn, Or if you Widow Snatcher them, like, a little bit more. But, like, it cannot OTK. That deck cannot OTK. And it's pretty much, like, pokes for small damage. I made the wrong play because of the time. Like, in any other situation, like, if it were, like, game 1, where the time doesn't really matter, I would not have to flip over that drones, or flip over, like, a defensive card. Like, I would hold that card. I feel like the game got ruined, to me. Like, this is almost as impactful as Master Rule 4, where, like, the extra deck zones changed, where you only have 1. This is like a whole thing, So now, like, when you test, you have to test with the clock on you, because you gotta take that into account. You gotta have the feeling, the pressure of the clock on you. So back to my tournament experience. Round 5 I won, but I thought round 5 I realized something else was that some people were still playing like 10 minutes into the clock ending. And I was like, wait, why isn't there a judge watching him playing? Why are they still playing? It should be only end of the phase. And I was like, wait, what about time extensions like deck checks and rulings that people come and judges have to go to a head judge to dispute? Those give time extensions that are like 5 to 10 minutes or sometimes 15 minutes. So that means that them having that new end of the match procedure doesn't really matter, because you're still going to get 10 to 15 minutes on the clock anyways. So players are still going to be waiting. So yeah, I don't know what Konami was thinking with this new rule change. So yeah, conclusion. I don't enjoy the new end of match procedure. It makes you misplay, it makes you feel rush, feel pressure playing. It's not fair to both you and your opponent, because someone's gonna feel cheated out on the turn, even though both of you guys might be playing at a reasonable pace. It's something you can't control, that I get battle phase and you don't, or I'm in main phase and I don't get attack after making a big board. It's some people, they want to win. They're really competitive and like, hey, you're not in battle phase, I'm sorry, you lost. Like, you're still making the board and you can't go into battle phase, I'm sorry, you lost. I don't know. Some of the things that they could try changing is maybe end of the turn, or maybe both get 1 turn if you're in main phase. Like, if you're in main phase, you get to go to battle phase and your opponent gets to go to get a turn. Or if you're in main phase 2, the game ends once you end the main phase, once your turn ends. Yeah, I don't know how to make that fair. I was watching Team Samurai's video, and he was playing in the Asia World Championship in OCG land in Thailand, and he said that the rules is a little different in terms of end of match procedure. He said that it's 35 minutes a round, and then you and your opponent get 3 turns each, and then in those 3 turns you're only allowed 10 minutes, and if you don't finish those 3 turns in 10 minutes, the game ends, and then that's it. There's no you don't finish those 3 turns. So if you're taking a long time, it's kind of like a warning, I guess. You can say, hey, you got 10 minutes, finish your turns. So everyone pick the pace and try to finish those 3 turns, or try to kill your opponent. But I think it's pretty fair having kind of like a warning. Another thing is that maybe they can make the rounds 50 minutes or 60 minutes, because you know, we don't have that much time. Personally, not a fan, but hope Konami fixes it. And because I do agree that they need to fix the end match procedure. It's taking too long to end tournaments. I'm not down to play LA Regionals and end at 12 a.m. So yeah, that's pretty much it, YouTube. Let me know down below how you guys feel about the new end match procedure, or if you guys had a tournament this weekend, how you guys did. If you're seeing boat as me, let me know what they can do to change down below. But yeah, if you guys like the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you like these kind of videos, subscribe to me and I'll make more. And that's pretty much it, YouTube. Bye.